Hayley Mills, 79, reveals the truth about Brian at last. Keith. Hayley Catherine was born Hayley Mills on April 18, 1946, Rose Vivienne Mills, England's London. Hayley Mills was intended for a career in the arts. She was born into a prestigious theatre family. Sir John Mills, her father, was one of the most renowned actors in Britain. Mary Hayley Bell, her mother, was an actress, author, and playwright. Encircled by inventiveness from the beginning, Hayley initially took in stories, manifestation of emotions, and performance as organic as breathing. Her early years was influenced by privilege as well as exposure to the arts, but also by self-control and observation. Growing up the backstage areas of theatrical shows and movie sets, she discovered early on that acting wasn't only about showing off, but about dedication, tolerance, and emotional integrity. This grounding would becoming apparent in her performances, even when she was younger, where she showed a maturity well above her years. Hayley Mills started making movies in the late 1950s. However, it was her breakthrough performance in Tiger Bay 1959 by Disney that declared her arrival to be an extraordinary youthful talent. Because of her performance, she won an Academy Award, a special exceptional honor that immediately ranked her as one of the most promising performers from her generation. When many young performers found it difficult to strike a balance between credibility and innocence, Hayley has a unique talent for communicating depth, compassion, and subtle wisdom, making her immediately likable to audiences. Hayley Mills rose to prominence in the 1960s. Global fame, especially because of her connection to Walt Disney Studios. Movies like 1960's Pollyanna, That Darn Cat, The Parent Trap, 1961, 1965, together with 1962's In Search of the Castaways, solidified her reputation as a cultural figure. Her depiction in Pollyanna of a young girl who is always optimistic struck an emotional chord with viewers negotiating a world that is changing quickly. The performance wasn't just happy, it was genuine, rooted in feeling, and incredibly human. The movie is still one of the most beloved Disney classics, and a common citation for Hayley's performance is its soul and heart. Possibly her most apparent Trap gave rise to a legendary part, whereby she played the two roles of identical twins with incredible technical proficiency and emotional lucidity. When the majority of young actors would find it difficult to distinguish between one character, Hayley injected each twin from another, possessing a unique personality, demeanor, and rhythm of feeling. The movie turned into a foundation of family movies and keeps inspiring new generations, serving as evidence of her exceptional ability. However, Hayley Mills' career was never limited to a child fame. As she grew older, she made the brave choice to distance oneself from the Disney brand and seek more roles that are difficult and complex. The shift was not easy, a struggle that many former children share stars, but Hayley was honest about it, in fortitude. In the latter part of the 1960s, and she had theater and movie appearances in the 1970s. Works that looked at darker, more subtle topics, demonstrating her adaptability and nuance as a performer. Her stage career prospered in tandem with her film labor. Hayley Mills discovered a profound relationship to the theater where she performances could change and grow. Night after night, she made an appearance in many West End shows, as well as subsequent traveled over the world, and received recognition due to her emotional intelligence and imposing appearance. Theater gave her the opportunity in order to thoroughly examine character development, and she frequently described it as a place where she was most creative satisfied. Apart from her acting accomplishments, Hayley Mills is additionally an accomplished writer. Forever, her autobiography Young provides an honest, considerate thoughts on celebrity, youth, and personal battle as well as survival. In it, she speaks candidly about the demands of early achievement, the difficulties of maturity, and the significance of acceptance of oneself. There are marks on her writing, by wisdom and humility, exposing an educated woman who has lived life to the fullest profoundly, and came out gracefully. Even though as the years went by, Hayley Mills kept demonstrating that her ability was never limited to a certain time period, reimagining herself with ease and accepting parts that brought her depth, coziness, and durability of the screen presence. 2010 saw her return to the list of narratives that are suitable for families, Mandy and the Cherokee Treasure, a movie version based on the cherished Lois Gladys Leopard's Mandy books. Her participation gave the production a feeling of timeless appeal and reliability, establishing a connection with a new audience to a performer whose career had previously characterized heartfelt, wholesome film. The next year, Mills took on A Very Foster Presents a Distinct Challenge. 2011, appearing alongside Toni Collette in a heartfelt, poignant drama concerning desire, loss, and unforeseen relationships. The movie gave Mills the opportunity to show a more subdued, introspective side of her art, reminding viewers that her capacity to express intense feeling with the subtleties had only become more powerful with time. Both spectators and critics pointed out how easily she fit in modern narrative, never eclipsed by the contemporary environment, although nor was it ever decreased. Diminish her appearances on television during the decade of the 2000s solidified her repute as a flexible and trustworthy performer. Mills wowed fans in 2014 by visitors who star in well-known British television shows like Midsummer Murders and Moving On, smoothly transitioning into incisively crafted episodic parts that demonstrated her comfort level with complicated people and subtle dramatic elements. These looks weren't only nostalgic cameos. They were self-assured, fully realized performances that showed her ongoing pertinence in contemporary. 2019, she became a member of Pitchingin's cast, affectionate, likable series that takes place in a vacation destination in Wales. The position once more demonstrated Mills' capacity to bring genuineness and humanity to ensemble casts, adding depth to the performance with her expertise and taciturn authority. After 2 years, she arrived at yet another moment when she played Michael in the joyous drama, Last, Sheen's Mother Get Ready for Christmas 2021. There was emotional weight to the performance, and family sincerity, providing viewers a heartfelt depiction that resonated well beyond the signal indications of slowing down in 2022. Assuming a recurrent part in television Compulsion is a thriller. The series made it possible for her to investigate more sinister, psychologically intricate content, demonstrating that even after a lifetime she continued to stand in front of the camera, fearless in pushing herself into difficult terrain. Her speed lasted until 2023, when she made an appearance in the 5th season of the highly regarded Unforgotten, a crime drama, portrayed Lady Emma Hume, elegant and multifaceted intensity. Her position put her at the heart of an engrossing story, and her performance was highly praised for its calm power and emotional control. Later that year, Mills was thrilled to global audiences with her peering within the Wheel of Time, entering the realm of epic fantasy, and once more showcasing her exceptional capacity to fit into any genre. From family outings and personal dramas to novels about crime and expansive fantasy, the latter part of Hayley Mills' career is evidence of her persistent ability, ageless appeal, and steadfast enthusiasm for narrative purpose. In 1960s, in the midst of emotional fervor and creative vitality of filming The Family Way, a young Hayley Mills is just 20 years old, but already a seasoned celebrity, discovered that her life was taking an unanticipated and revolutionary turn. She met Roy Bolting on set, the renowned and successful director, who at the time was 53. Their bond, created over a broad generational gap, which grew rapidly into a strong emotional connection. What started off as a professional partnership, progressively transformed into a romance that captivated the media and posed typical expectations of the time. Following a number of years together, in 1971, Bolting got married, entering a communal existence that merged art, intelligence, and calm at home. The pair split their time between a chic apartment in Chelsea, London, during the core of the artistic and cultural life of Britain, setting as well as the romantic historical Upstone's Cobstone Windmill, Buckinghamshire, an estate that appeared to reflect their unorthodox love narrative. The result of their union was a son, Crispian Mills, whose artistic destiny would thereafter take a dramatic turn. Crispian developed as the leader, guitarist and vocalist of the well-known Shaker, a rock band, is forging out his unique position in the annals of music and carrying on the artistic tradition of the family. Even though their shared experiences, Boltings and Mills, the marriage ended in 1977, concluding an important chapter in her private life. Shortly thereafter, Mills started another really significant romance, with actor Lee this time Lawson. This relationship gave rise to her second. July 1976 saw the birth of son Jason Lawson. Mills once again embraced motherhood, juggling her professional obligations with the pleasures and difficulties of parenting 2 sons. Even though her connection to Lawson ultimately came to an end in the early 1980s were another pivotal time of emotional development and personal growth for the actress. This breakup's aftermath turned out to be a pivotal moment. In the 80s, Mills started a deep introspective journey, investigating spirituality and creating a genuine curiosity about a variety of Eastern faiths. This search was not short-lived interest, but a careful and intellectual interaction with concepts regarding faith, significance, and the character of existence. Her investigations into spirituality discovered a voice in her writing and editorial work. In 1984, she wrote the introduction to the Book of Krishna's Hair, Cooking Vegetarian Food, and sharing her voice and viewpoint to a project that is based on empathy and living with awareness. However, she wasn't a part of the Har herself, the Krishna movement. After a few years, she co-edited Letters from My God in 1988, the renowned On God and the Life After Death. In addition to Marcus Milan, an engaging compilation that collected thoughts on spirituality from well-known individuals, highlighting even more her thoughtful involvement with the bigger questions in life. In 1997, Mills experienced love once more in a manner that was unexpected and lasting. She met a writer and an actor, Fergus Bomji, during their joint tour in prominent parts in The King and I. There on stage, a connection was made and strengthened. It developed into a long-lasting collaboration. Despite being 20 years old difference, their bond demonstrated tenacious and incredibly encouraging. As of 2023, Mills's partner, Bomji, is still standing next to her as a friend and equal in creativity. An evidence of a life distinguished not just by talent and notoriety, but through ongoing reinvention, emotional integrity, and a willingness to love in everyone its surprising shapes. Hayley Mills, who is 79 years old, talks with a lucidity and emotional integrity that time alone can supply. Years have passed since from when she was among Disney's biggest bright child stars. She no longer feels compelled to defend delusions or lessen painful memories. When she considers her career now, she with appreciation, but also with a readiness to face the challenging facts that influenced her childhood in Hollywood. Brian is at the heart of one of those realities. Her co-star in The Parent Trap, Keith, and a number of additional Disney films, an individual who was long seen by the public as a kind both off-screen and on-screen father figures. Brian was America's father to the globe. According to Mills, he had a loud voice, the bear-like demeanor, and a comfort that gave individuals a sense of security. However, what viewers witnessed was just a portion of the narrative. When Mills initially collaborated with Keith in 1961, she was a teenager navigating the world of celebrity. That had come much too soon. Keith, already a well-known actor, was intended to be a protective and stabilizing force, of a sort, and he was in many respects. Mills has frequently admitted that he might be giving, supportive and fiercely competent on the set. He watched out for me in useful ways, she remembers. He ensured that I received equitable treatment, that I wasn't pushed over my breaking point. As a young person, however, behind that, the protective cover was a darker complexity that Mills only completely realized much later. Brian had a much suffering. She acknowledges that it wasn't something he discussed candidly, and men just didn't back then. Especially, not males, who were meant to be powerful. According to Mills, Keith is a haunted man, by inner conflicts, emotional swings, deep depressing, as well as a strict emotional restraint molded by his generation. As a young actress, she realized something was incorrect, but lacked the vocabulary to identify it. You feel these sensations as a child, she says. You know when the atmosphere shifts, you know when someone is hurting, even if no one explains it to you. Looking back, she believes Keith's challenges reflected the larger culture of the time's Hollywood, where pain was concealed and vulnerability was frequently numbed instead of attended to. There might be no tolerance for kindness toward oneself, says Mills. If you were pain, you buried it and held on to working. Keith's untimely demise by suicide in 1997 cast a lasting shade over their recollections. Mills was deeply saddened by it, combined with comprehension. After learning about his passing, she whispers softly, heart broke, not since I was taken aback, but because it made sense at last. She stresses that her reflections don't constitute charges, nor tries to minimize his ability or generosity. Rather, they are admissions of reality, untidy, human, and unsolved. Brian shouldn't be rewritten, as Mills maintains that he is either a saint or a villain. He wasn't either. He was a man with great talent. He was not given the assistance he needed. At 79 years old, Mills observes her readiness to speaking truthfully is a duty, especially for people who grew up admiring celebrities in Hollywood without recognizing the price of that reality. Back ago, we pretended a lot, she says, acting as though nothing was wrong, feigning to be joyful, faking the people weren't harmed by the system. Her additionally, reflections contain a mention of empathy for herself, Keith, and for a sector that frequently failed its own. Many did not endure it, but I did. She claims that Brian didn't, and that's the tragedy in being truthful. Currently, Mills hopes to respect her entire reality experiences, as opposed to the refined falsehoods about them. The reality isn't cruel, she concludes. The cruel thing is quiet. I also don't want to keep quiet, no longer. Hayley Mills, 79, isn't demolishing a heritage, it's being humanized by her. Additionally, and she does this to remind us that behind Hollywood's most radiant grins frequently lived silent suffering, waiting for decades for the bravery to be named at last.